Global Cybersecurity Forum's annual meeting 2024 gets underway today in the Saudi Arabian capital of Riyadh. The meeting brings together decision makers and experts from government, the private sector, civil society, and academia. Under the theme Advancing Collective Action in Cyberspace, this two-day event is aimed at going beyond the dialogue and discussions to advance knowledge and catalyze collective action on critical issues around cyberspace. One of the topics to be discussed is the critical issue of child online safety. And for that, let's bring in Dr. Yuhyun Park, who's the founder of DQ Institute. That's an international think tank dedicated to settling global standards for digital intelligence. Doc, it's lovely to see you. Welcome to the SABC News Channel as we broadcast to you from Johannesburg. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. Perhaps we can begin with much needed context. Speak to us about the Global Cybersecurity Forum, where you're at, and essentially what you're expecting to be highlighted there.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm now sitting here at Riyadh, and we just launched the CPC Summit, which is a child protection in cyberspace summit here in collaboration with ITU, UNICEF, We Protect, and GCF.
Right. Cyberspace can be such a vast area to look into, and I suppose because of that there are so many challenges that you and I can speak about. Perhaps let's just hone in specifically on what the challenges are in relation to trying to make sure that children are safe as they navigate the cyberspace.
Sure, definitely. Our research shows that globally, 73% of children aged 8 to 18 years old have experienced at least one cyber risk in the past year. In South Africa, the number is very similar to 70%. The exact number was 67% of children have experienced at least one cyber risk. And this actually is a quite alarming number because this number has been around 70% past 7 years. So this actually calls for the immediate actions and global actions to work together to reduce this number through the education and policy and also the technology advancement.
Yeah, and we'll speak about that in just a moment. But Doc, when you mentioned cyber risks, what exactly are you referring to?
Sure. The 70% number includes the various cyber risks, including the cyberbullying, technology overuse, and online sexual exploitations, privacy issues, and the cyber threat and more. So this is actually a comprehensive measure of the risk that child can experience online when they go onto the digital space.
Yeah, I remember a time where, Facebook executives were being grilled by the US Congress about efforts that they are putting in place to ensure that children are safe on their platform. Generally speaking, though, Doc, are you finding that there are efforts being made in order to ensure that children are safe in such spaces?
Well, children here is in your UN definition is under 18, but we need to actually think about the more specific numbers under 13 years old because current social media platform should not allow children less than 13 years old. But reality is that 80% of children under 13 years old have actually access to online. And within that age group to 8 to 12 years old, we actually observed that 56% of children experience at least one cyber risk. That means more than 1 out of 2 children. So I like to actually think about the implication of this issue for the young children specifically.
Yeah. Another complexity in the cyberspace is that the lines of demarcation are not as easy. When you're in a certain country, you can just look to that country to implement its laws, for example, in order to ensure that people are safe. But in the cyberspace, those borders aren't there. So it brings up the question around which role players you reckon need to play a part in order to ensure that there is some kind of child safety in cyberspace.
Definitely. You actually hit the point. The collective global effort is crucial because this number is going to go up, expected to go up with the deployment of generative AI to be here. So how can we ensure our children can be safe online. There has to be multiple dimensional approach has to be taken place. But importantly, each country need to emphasize about importance of digital citizenship, digital literacy education since they're young. And also at the same time, put it into the national education system from primary schools to all the way up to lifelong learning. So there's a lot that we can do in a national level, local level, and family level as well.
Absolutely. What an important discussion. Dr. Yuhyun Park, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. We appreciate your insights. Dr. Park speaking to us there from the Global Cybersecurity Forum. It's in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. She, of course, is a founder of DQ Institute, a think tank that works in this space.